Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Josna Kumar.
And I'm Him Kaur Suraya, and on the show today, we will be bringing you the latest from US President Donald Trump, who signed an executive order slapping sanctions on the International Criminal Court for baseless investigations targeting America and its close ally Israel. Trump's order said that the court in The Hague had abused its power by issuing an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. All this and a lot more on the show today.
And also on the show, on World DNA, Ukraine has said that it is ready to open a humanitarian corridor to let hundreds of Russian civilians living in border areas seized by its army return to Russian-controlled territory. And that is if Moscow requests one. Now, this comes after Moscow said that Ukraine's army has launched a fresh offensive in the Russian Kursk border region. We'll get you all the latest on that, but first the headlines.
US seizes Venezuelan government plane held in the Dominican Republic amid Secretary of State Marco Rubio's visit to Santo Domingo. This despite diplomacy with leftist Nicolas Maduro.
Donald Trump signs executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court for targeting the U.S. and its allies days after meeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Netanyahu calls his meeting with Trump a turning point for Israel, also claims the US president's plan to remove Palestinians from Gaza was worth listening to.
Israel says it's dropped 2 sites in Lebanon, alleges it contained weapons of the Hezbollah group in violation of a ceasefire deal.
Ukraine says if Russia requests, it will open humanitarian corridor to let Russian civilians in the Kursk border region return home.
At least 17 children killed in fire that broke out at a school in northern Nigeria. Authorities launch investigation into the cause.
The Bank of England cut interest rates by a quarter point, even as some policymakers wanted a bigger move to offset a slowdown. However, the bank said it would be careful about further moves on expected inflation spike and global economic uncertainty.
Defending champions Liverpool have punched their ticket to Wembley. The Reds fired 4 past Tottenham Hotspur and overturned a 1-goal deficit to reach the final of the EFL Cup.
All right, our top focus. Amid Netanyahu's visit to Washington, Donald Trump has slapped sanctions on the International Criminal Court for baseless investigations targeting the United States and its close ally, Israel.
Now, Trump's order said the court had abused its power by issuing an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump has ordered asset freezes and travel bans against ICC officials, employees, and their family members, along with anyone helping the court's investigations. The sanctions comes as a show of support after Netanyahu's visit to the White House.
Netanyahu has said that his meeting with Trump was a turning point for Israel's future. Detailing his talks with US officials, Netanyahu has claimed that Trump's plan to take over Gaza and remove Palestinians from the enclave is worth listening to.
As you know, the day before yesterday, I had a historic meeting with President Trump, which was a great turning point for the future of Israel. At this meeting, he also brought up his idea about Gaza for the day after Hamas, and I think it is worth listening very well to this idea, which is the first original idea to be raised in years.
Now, hailing Trump as Israel's greatest friend, Netanyahu has called his proposal remarkable. He said it should be really pursued because it will create a different future for everyone. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has instructed the army to prepare for voluntary departures from Gaza already. Katz said Trump's plan could create broad opportunities for Gaza residents who wish to leave.
The Trump administration has tried to dial back aspects of his proposal after it was widely rejected internationally. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that the relocation of Palestinians would be temporary. Rubio has also said that those denouncing Trump's plan should step forward and provide a solution to that problem.
And Trump has ruled out sending troops to the territory, but has doubled down on his proposal. He wrote on his Truth Social network that Gaza would be turned over to the U.S. by Israel at the conclusion of fighting, and no soldiers by the U.S. would be needed.
As US and Israel continue to propose their terms to end the war, families of Israeli hostages held in Gaza have urged the two governments to implement every phase of the truce with Hamas to ensure the release of all hostages.
President Trump, we rely on you to bring my brother and all of the hostages back home, those still living and those who have fallen.
Weeks after Israel and Hamas signed a ceasefire, Gaza is still battling a health crisis. The World Health Organization's representative for Palestinian territories has said that the health needs in Gaza are immense, as functional health facilities and services are not there. Now, he said about 18 of the 36 hospitals and roughly 1/3 of the primary health care centers are partly functional. The health crisis in Gaza comes at a time when Trump has signed an executive order to withdraw from the UN health agency, WHO. All right, shifting our focus to the Russia-Ukraine war, almost 3 years after the war with Russia and Ukraine has started, finally has a modern Western fighter jets at its disposal.
Now on Thursday, Kyiv received Mirage 2000s from France and F-16s from the Netherlands, marking a significant upgrade to its aging air force. As Russian forces push forward, the real test is whether these jets can turn the tide of the war.
The exact number of jets remains secret, as both France and the Netherlands cite security reasons. The Netherlands has pledged 24 F-16s, while France has equipped the Mirage 2000s for air-to-ground strikes. Yet, without full air superiority, their effectiveness remains uncertain.
Now, for nearly 3 years, Ukraine has relied on a Soviet-era air fleet to counter Russia's superior air power. Now with French Mirage 2000s and the Dutch F-16s, Ukraine gains a much-needed boost. These jets bring better speed, firepower and versatility, but the question is, are they arriving too late?
President Volodymyr Zelensky celebrated these deliveries as a crucial boost to Ukraine's military capabilities. Yet, military experts warn against unrealistic expectations. The jet introduction represents more of a measured strategic enhancement than a game-changing intervention.
Now, Russia has begun exercises with its Yars intercontinental ballistic missile system in what is likely to be seen as another attempt by Moscow to show off its nuclear strength.
Our next story tells you about the YARS, that is a nuclear missile that can be moved around on truck carriers or deployed in silos and is a crucial part of Moscow's nuclear deterrent. Take a look.
In a chilling display of military might, Russia unleashes its deadliest strategic weapon, transforming snow-covered forests into a nuclear chessboard. The Kremlin's latest military exercise transforms the Volga region into a potential ground zero for global conflict, as YARS intercontinental ballistic missiles silently maneuvered through dense wilderness. The Russian Defense Ministry's latest video reveals a spine-chilling choreography of destruction. Massive missile launchers camouflaged against winter's white backdrop slip through forest terrain, executing precision movements across 100 kilometers of strategic routes. The YARS missile system represents the pinnacle of Russia's nuclear capabilities. Each launcher potentially carries up to 4 independently targetable warheads, with a total launch weight of 49,000 kilograms and a staggering maximum range of 10,500 kilometers. The missile has the capability to maneuver during flight and deploy both active and passive decoys, which gives YARS the advantage against modern missile defense systems. The exercise represents more than a military drill. It's a calculated message of preparedness and potential retaliation, particularly against the backdrop of ongoing tensions surrounding the Russia-Ukraine war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, moving on. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio departed from Dominican Republic.
This was during his visit to the United States, seized a second aircraft belonging to the Venezuelan government in less than 2 years.
Now, Rubio, on the last stop of his Latin America and Caribbean tour this week, oversaw as a U.S. Department of Homeland Security official affixed a warrant to the plane, formally seizing it. The plane had been undergoing maintenance at Santo Domingo Airport. The State Department in the statement said that high-ranking members of the government of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had used the Dassault Falcon 200 aircraft for traveling to Greece, Turkey, Russia, Nicaragua, and Cuba.
Rubio, during a press conference, said that his country would not make the Dominican Republic accept an uncontrollable migration wave from Haiti. Meanwhile, the Dominican president added that there does not exist a Dominican solution for the crisis in the neighboring country.
So,
and will not ask the Dominican Republic to accept or be expected of them to accept an uncontrolled migratory wave. No country in the world should be asked to do that.
We discussed the crisis in Haiti, a situation that demands a coordinated and solidarity response from all of the international community. We have reiterated that a Dominican solution does not exist for the Haitian crisis. For this reason, we have emphasized the urgent need for more economic support for the international task force led by Kenya, with the goal to increase their operational capacity and to ensure effective action.
Now, Rubio also added that the United States will continue to provide aid for the Dominican government to battle drug trafficking and that it was looking into investing on the nation's rare earth mineral industry. And a US judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's proposed buyout for federal workers until at least Monday.
And giving an initial win to labor unions that sued it to stop it.
Now, the ruling by the US District Judge George O'Toole pushes back a midnight deadline set by the Trump administration for the country's more than 2 million government employees. The offer was to quit with 8 months' pay or risk being fired in future culls.
Now, in the next hearing scheduled for Monday, Judge O'Toole could opt to delay the buyout further or block it on a more permanent basis when he considers the merit of the case brought by labor unions. According to the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, more than 40,000 staff have so far accepted the buyout deal, a relatively small number.
Unions representing some 800,000 civil servants and Democratic members of the Congress are resisting the scheme and have challenged the legality of threat to fire civil servants.
The buyout effort is part of a far-reaching plan by Trump and his allies to both rein in and reduce the size of the federal bureaucracy, which Trump blames for hindering his agenda during his first presidential term.
Okay.
Now, Thailand has launched a surgical strike against the global cyber scam industry.
It is cutting electricity to 5 strategic locations along the Myanmar border. This move targets the heart of a criminal ecosystem that has generated billions through human trafficking and digital fraud.
The electricity shutdown represents more than a mere infrastructural intervention. It is a calculated assault on complex criminal networks that have flourished in Myanmar's lawless border regions. Chinese crime syndicates operating elaborate online scam factories now face an existential threat as their technological lifelines are now cut off.
Today, we have cut the power. They may face challenges of lower power supply, but we are at the point now where no one can blame Thailand for being part of or playing a part in supporting illegal acts. They may turn to other sources of power supply or generate their own electricity. In the Thai Security Council orders, it also includes the halt in supplying oil and internet to them, which means that from now on, any damage that occurs will have no connection to any resources in Thailand.
United Nations reports reveal a horrifying landscape of human exploitation. Hundreds of thousands of workers, often lured with false promises, are imprisoned in heavily guarded compounds. These digital sweatshops operate through coercion, with routine beatings and torture maintaining their operational efficiency.
The online scam operation exposes the intricate web of corruption enabling these criminal enterprises, which have thrived amid Myanmar's political chaos since the 2021 military coup.
Yet questions remain. Will cutting electricity permanently dismantle these sophisticated criminal networks? The scam industry's adaptability suggests these operations might quickly regroup, finding alternative power sources and establishing new hidden infrastructures. Now, the iconic leaning minaret of Mosul in Iraq, a landmark and symbol of the city's rich cultural heritage, has been restored to its former glory by the UNESCO after being destroyed by the ISIS in 2017.
The restoration was part of a larger effort by the UN agency to revive several historic sites in Mosul. Here's a report.
Mosul, the second largest city of Iraq, a city that bore scars of fighting the ISIS, has now risen from the ashes of destruction. At the heart of the city stands the iconic Al-Hadba of leaning minaret, restored brick by brick to its former glory. All thanks to UNESCO and Iraqi authorities. This iconic minaret was built in 1172 by the Seljuk ruler Nur al-Din. and it was the exact same spot from where former ISIS chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi infamously declared his caliphate in July 2014, ushering a reign of terror that would spread across Syria and Iraq. That changed in 2017 when Iraqi army along with coalition forces launched a campaign to liberate Mosul. But in the process, the Leaning Minaret and adjoining mosque were destroyed. ISIS was accused of planting explosives before their withdrawal. Stepping in, UNESCO revived several destroyed sites in a span of 5 years. Workers restored the Leaning Minaret's iconic earlier tilt at 160 centimeters.
I'm very happy to stand before you and before the minaret, over 850 years old. And the fact to have it here behind me, in front of you, is like history coming back, is like the identity of this city coming back.
The historic Al-Nouri Mosque adjoining the minaret was also restored with original brickwork.
I entered this mosque about 3 months before it was occupied by the ISIS terrorist gangs. And to this day, I have not entered it. This is the first time I have entered the mosque, and honestly, I felt a great sense of awe and immense joy.
UNESCO also revived the historic Our Lady of the Hour and Al-Tahira churches. It preserved its stunning arcades, pillars and stained glass windows. With the city reclaiming its heritage, it hopes to attract tourists. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Well, that's all on this side of World DNA. We'll be right back with more news on the other side.
Before we slip into this short break, we are leaving you with all the climate stories making headlines across the globe.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
Couldn't you just stay like this forever? As Valentine's Week kicks off, we get you the best on-screen pairings of all time.
ये हैं TTE राधे मोहन शर्मा.
Meet Indian actor R. Madhavan as he talks about his recent release, Hisab Barabar. And find out some lesser-known facts about Grammy-winning singer Shakira. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
You should start worrying about what effects the war in the DRC could have on your phone. Over the past year, the M23 has made rapid advances across the mineral-rich east of DR Congo, taking areas where coltan, the ore from which tantalum is extracted, is mined. Cotton is Benin's white gold, and now the West African nation is vying to become the continent's largest cotton producer. And henna artistry has been reorganized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage for 16 Arab countries, including Morocco. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
and welcome back. You're watching World DNA with me, Joseph Kumar, and my colleague Him Kaur. Let's begin with the headlines.
Panama accuses the United States of spreading lies and falsehoods over State Department's claim that the U.S. government vessels would be able to pass the Panama Canal without paying a fee.
U.S. seizes Venezuelan government plane held in Dominican Republic amid Secretary of State Marco Rubio's visit to Santo Domingo, and this despite diplomacy with leftist Nicolas Maduro.
Donald Trump signs executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court for targeting the United States and allies days after meeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Israel says it struck 2 sites in Lebanon, alleges it contained weapons of the Hezbollah group in violation of a ceasefire deal.
Ukraine says if Russia requests, it will open humanitarian corridor to let Russian civilians in the Kursk border region return home.
Taiwan says it detected 9 Chinese aircraft, 6 naval vessels, and 6 balloons off the island as Beijing continues to boost its ability to invade Taipei with innovative new naval equipment.
Now, the IMF plans to unveil a new loan agreement for Egypt under its Resilience and Sustainability Facility. This follows last year's expansion of Egypt's loan package to address economic challenges amid regional instability.
Defending champions Liverpool have punched their ticket to Wembley. The Reds fire 4 past Tottenham Hotspur and overturn a 1-goal deficit to reach the final of the EFL Cup. And in a significant blow to India's regional connectivity aspirations, U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered the revocation of sanction waivers for Iran's Chabahar port.
Now, the move threatens to derail New Delhi's strategic foothold in the region. This is a dramatic shift from previous U.S. policy that had protected India's interests in this crucial maritime gateway.
The Presidential National Security Memorandum specifically targets the Chabahar port project, dismantling exemptions that had allowed India to pursue its activities despite broader Iran sanctions.
India and Iran signed a 10-year contract to operate the Iranian port of Chabahar, which New Delhi sees as a strategic trade route to landlocked Central Asian republics, allowing it to bypass Pakistan. Chabahar is also seen as a counter to China's development of the Gwadar port in Pakistan, located close to Iran's southeastern border with Pakistan. The deep-water Chabahar port is less than 100 kilometers from Gwadar.
The stakes for India are particularly high, with India Ports Global Limited having committed approximately $120 million to equip the deep-water port. Meanwhile, New Delhi's pledge of $250 million in credit for infrastructure now hangs in the balance.
Now, the contract between India and Ports Global Limited and Iran's Ports and Maritime Organization, initially planned for a decade of operations with potential extensions, now faces an uncertain future.
Now, this development threatens to unravel years of diplomatic efforts and strategic planning, potentially forcing India to reassess its regional connectivity strategy and its approach to maintaining influence in Central Asia.
All right, the Breathe Pakistan International Conference on Climate Change took place in Islamabad with the goal of increasing climate resilience and adaptation at all levels in Pakistan.
Now, the conference held at Jinnah Convention Center included 15 sessions and over 90 speakers from 11 countries, as well as climate change experts from the UN and the World Bank. It is aimed at collaboration on strategies that address the climate crisis while supporting economic growth and lessening the negative impact of climate change on the destinies of the most vulnerable segments of the population.
The conference also included experts from the Federal Ministry of Climate Change and from the strategic partner for the conference, the Government of Punjab, as well as those from other provinces and the corporate sector, both public and private. Climate change experts from the South Asian region, including India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Sri Lanka, were also present for the event.
Now, during the event, Supreme Court Senior Prison Judge Justice Mansoor Ali Shah highlighted that the Hindu Kush Himalaya glaciers, which Pakistan relied upon, were melting at an alarming rate. Meanwhile, former State of Bank of Pakistan Governor Shamsad Akhtar has stated that the South Asian country is in dire need of finance to meet the climate-related challenges.
Pakistan, which is responsible for less than 1% of global emissions, is among the countries vulnerable to climate change ravages, and the nation is considered among the top 5 most vulnerable to climate change and has experienced droughts, floods and heat waves that have negatively impacted the economy. According to reports, Pakistan needs an estimated annual investment of $40 billion to $50 billion until 2050 to deal with climate change challenges.
And for more on this, our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik has sent us this report from Islamabad. Take a look.
As Pakistan battles with climate change, including witnessing catastrophic flash floods as latest as 2022, Pakistan is now hosting a 2-day international climate change conference with the focus on how to deal with the menace of climate change and the effects of it on the country. Anas Malik, Islamabad, Pakistan for WION, World is One.
Right. In other news, the devastating efficiency of combat drones in modern warfare has rewritten military doctrines around the world. From Ukraine's field to West Asia, these expensive weapons have proven that they are capable of neutralizing billion-dollar assets.
And now Iran aims to amplify this advantage with its groundbreaking drone carrier vessel, but it maintains that nuclear weapons are not in the pipeline. Here's a report.
Drones have reshaped the battlefield. From Ukraine's skies to West Asia, these low-cost, high-impact weapons are proving deadlier than ever. Precision strikes, kamikaze attacks and relentless surveillance, drones are rewriting the rules of war. Now, Iran is taking this airborne menace to the seas. In a bold display of maritime muscle, Iran has thrust itself into an elite club of nations with advanced naval capabilities. The Islamic Republic's newest weapon, Shahid Baheshti, a sophisticated drone carrier, threatens to reshape naval warfare in the Persian Gulf and beyond. This 180-meter floating fortress represents Tehran's most ambitious naval undertaking to date, boasting capabilities that extend far beyond conventional warships. The vessel's year-long operational range without refueling poses fresh challenges to regional military dynamics. What sets this carrier apart is its versatility in launching an array of unmanned aerial vehicles, including the sophisticated Qaher drone, a miniaturized version of Iran's indigenous fighter jet. The vessel's adaptation from a commercial container ship to a military asset demonstrates Iran's growing prowess in naval innovation and its determination to counter Western maritime dominance. This development coincides with Iran's unveiling of an underground missile facility. Tehran says the facility has hundreds of cruise missiles capable of countering enemy destroyers' electronic warfare. Last month, Iran's Revolutionary Guard unveiled an underground naval base for assault boats operating in Iran's southern waters, which include the Gulf and the strategic Strait of Hormuz. The timing of this revelation, amidst escalating regional tensions, sends a clear message about Iran's military preparedness. Donald Trump has said he wants a verified nuclear peace agreement with Iran.
I really want to see peace, and I hope that we're able to do that. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. I'm not putting restrictions. They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if I think that they will have a nuclear weapon, despite what I just said, I think that's going to be very unfortunate for them. If, on the other hand, they can convince us that they won't, and I hope they can, it's very easy to do. It's actually very easy to do. I think they're going to have an unbelievable future.
We are not looking for nuclear weapons. This is decreed by the order of the leader of the Iranian Revolution, Ali Khamenei, and based on religion and belief. Reference to a long-standing fatwa by Ali Khamenei prohibiting atomic weapons. Even those who accuse and slander us, America and Israel cannot lead us to manufacture nuclear weapons.
The US president also denies he wanted to blow Iran to smithereens, describing such reports as greatly exaggerated. During his first term that ended in 2021, Trump withdrew the US from a landmark nuclear deal between Iran and major powers and reimposed biting sanctions. It'll be interesting to see if ties between Washington and Tehran improve or remain tense. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Now, the consensus in markets today is that Beijing would reach a deal with the United States and avoid worsening trade hostilities. As a result, the risk premiums for China proxies such as the Aussie dollar have been erased.
However, is it too early to price out the US-China trade war? Well, ING markets analysts say the real worry is that markets have jumped a little too far to the positive, as Trump is probably not in a rush to end tariffs on China as he did with Canada and Mexico. Since Monday, when Trump delayed tariffs on Canada and Mexico after a border agreement, the dollar has maintained its downward trend.
Now, the spotlight has shifted to China and the markets are holding out on hope that a deal is likely to be reached before Beijing's retaliatory tariffs take effect on the 10th of January. Beijing's comparatively restrained reaction to Trump's tariffs is keeping markets buoyed.
ING analysts believe markets are underestimating the possibility of a protracted trade war, even if the likely scenario is for a US-China agreement. The US consumer and production base is less affected by tariffs on China compared to Canada and Mexico, giving Trump more leeway to negotiate a deal at his own pace.
Trump has clearly indicated that he is in no rush to speak to China's President Xi Jinping. The story of protectionism is still the major focus for the time being, even as US macro news is making a comeback.
While December's U.S. payrolls were solid, the latest JOLTS job opening data this week were less encouraging for the jobs market. Investors will eye the non-farm payroll data later on Friday for macro directions on the economy. The Federal Reserve has announced an extended pause in the current rate cut cycle. U.S. central bank officials are concerned about the inflationary troubles from the trade tariff strategy and are warning of a fine balancing act again if payroll figures show any weakness. Global traders brace for volatility as they predict tariffs and inflation to significantly influence global markets in 2025.
And this according to JP Morgan's annual survey of the institutional trading customers. We decode these traders' bets on the trends for 2025 in this next report. Take a look.
Post the pandemic, the biggest threat to financial markets and the global economy was inflation. Global central banks started to ease monetary policy late last year after fighting stubbornly high inflation for well over 2 years with aggressive rate hikes. However, inflation is expected to rear its ugly head once again this year, complicating central bank policy path. Indeed, inflation and tariffs were listed by 51% of the over 4,200 respondents in a JP Morgan survey as the main drivers to dominate markets this year. While 27% of institutional traders surveyed last year described inflation as a major worry, that number has since dropped. The markets have been particularly vulnerable this year so far due to US President Donald Trump's threats to impose tariffs on foreign imported goods as well as particular sectors and nations. Many investors view the tariff policy as inflationary. The responses to the survey showed inflation and tariffs took the top spot for the biggest impact on markets in 2025. Geopolitical tensions were the next big bet. Market and economy dislocation worries were the third on the list. US-China relations took the next spot. Although the ongoing tit-for-tat trade barbs pushed investors to increase the chances for this to move markets. However, recession fears among traders decreased to 7% for the year, down from 18% in 2024. The most common response when asked about the biggest challenge in 2025 was volatility, which was also a worry in 2024. While just 28% of people cited it in the 2024 poll, 41% said it was the biggest worry for this year. Eddie Wen, global head of digital markets at JP Morgan, said, "What distinguishes this year is somewhat unexpected timing of volatility." He added, unlike in the past when volatility was tied to scheduled events like elections for non-farm payroll data, we're seeing more sudden fluctuations in response to news headlines around the administration's plans, leading to knee-jerk reactions in the marketplace. Concerns around liquidity, regulatory shifts, the cost and accessibility of market data topped the list of market structure issues raised by traders in the survey. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
And India captain Rohit Sharma continues to struggle at the international level.
But the men in blue were able to begin their Champions Trophy preparations with a comfortable win over England in the first ODI in Nagpur.
Now Virat Kohli was ruled out with a knee problem and pacer Harshit Rana was handed an ODI debut. The visitors won the toss and opted to bat first. That decision paid early dividends as Phil Salt gave the Three Lions a blistering start. Salt smashed 43 from 26 balls, including 26 from one Harshit Rana over. But from 71 for 0, England suffered a collapse, which was triggered by Salt's run-out. They lost 3 wickets in 8 balls, which derailed their innings. Rana and Ravindra Jadeja were the pick of the bowlers for India, finishing with 3 wickets each. Captain Jose Butler and Jacob Bethel scored half-centuries, but England were bowled out for 248 in 47.4 overs.
Indian opener Yashasvi Jaiswal was also playing his first match in ODI cricket and made 15. Captain Rohit Sharma once again failed to deliver as he fell 4-3. At that point, India were reeling at 19 for 2, but new vice-captain Shubham Gill stepped up with a superb knock of 87 from 96 balls. Shreyas Iyer said he was watching a movie at night when he found out he might be in the playing 11, and he enjoyed a successful turn to the international stage with a 36-ball 59, while Akshar Patel was also scoring half-century to ensure that India reached the target with 68 balls to spare. The second match of the three-match ODI series takes place on Sunday in Qatar.
And goes through his legs.
India might have won the game, but the major concerns around Rohit Sharma's form remain. With just 2 matches left before the Champions Trophy, the 37-year-old Indian skipper is showing no signs of improvement. He now averages just above 10 in his last 16 innings in international cricket. If he does not get back amongst the runs over the course of the next 2 matches, his place in the Indian 11 will come under serious threat.
My Fault, London, the English language version of hit Spanish movie Culpa Mía premiered in London.
And more about the star-studded event in our next story. Take a look.
Crazy. I'm so happy. And I lived here in London when I was a kid, so for me it's very special to come here with my movie and with my story. I couldn't ask for more. This is a dream come true for me.
I think it's quite addictive. I think the characters that feel like real people, and everybody just loves Nick and Noah together, and Mercedes did such an amazing job with writing the book that everybody's just thrilled and wants to see as much as they can.
We would say it's about a young American Noah who moves to London, and she falls in love with this sexy bad boy called Nick, and gets thrust into this high adrenaline, high octane world of racing and underground fighting, all while she has this, traumatizing past that's kind of coming and haunting her to the light.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of World DNA. News and updates continue on the other side on WION World is One.
You should start worrying about what effects the war in the DRC could have on your phone. Over the past year, the M23 has made rapid advances across the mineral-rich east of DR Congo, taking areas where coltan, the ore from which tantalum is extracted, is mined. Cotton is Benin's white gold, and now the West African nation is vying to become the continent's largest cotton producer. And henna artistry has been reorganized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage for 16 Arab countries, including Morocco. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
We're tracking down the illegal alien criminals and we're detaining them and
We are throwing them.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.